Chapter 16, Drug Use and Subcultures of Special Populations. Subcultures. What is a subculture? Subcultures are special populations or a subgroup whose members share similar values, attitudes, and patterns of related behaviors that differ from those of other subcultures within a larger population. For example, a world within a world. Many are so broad and diverse that they may not even be consciously aware of one another. Drug-using subcultures. Today we're going to specifically talk about 7 different subcultures, including athletes, women, adolescents, college students, HIV and AIDS carriers, the entertainment industry, and internet users. We will first begin with athletes and drug abuse. Performance enhancers are typically something that's used by athletes. Doping is using performance-enhancing drugs for increased athletic ability. This is rampant among world-class competitors, and typically governing bodies will turn a blind eye to this. Reasons for use boil down to winning in sports. There are 3 primary reasons for abuse. One is alleged, so there's an inadvertent consumption because the ingredients of what they're taking are kept secret. A deliberate consumption for misuse as a recreational drug, and deliberate consumption to enhance performance. To excel in athletic competition is very admirable. Athletes receive satisfaction from playing to their potential. They have a desire for recognition and fame, so they'll win at any cost, even if there's irreversible physical harm and significant side effects that are associated with use. Young athletes receive exaggerated attention and prestige. They have increased pressure to excel or to be the best. Athletes are willing to take the risk. The importance of sports is frequently distorted. It's used to evaluate the quality of educational institutions or living conditions within a city. Athletic success can determine the level of financial support from various sources, for example, the government, alumni, or private donors. Thus, winning translates to fiscal stability and institutional prosperity. For athletes, success brings psychological as well as financial rewards. For example, they may receive scholarships or endorsements. Everybody wants to see their face on the Wheaties box. They have added pressure of not winning, and this can result in poor coping responses. Being better no matter what the cost becomes a driving motivation. Being one's best is no longer enough. These attitudes bring about risk-taking to gain an advantage, and thus doping occurs. Laws to stop use in pro sports. The World Anti-Doping Code is a framework for anti-doping policies, rules, and regulations within sport organization and public authorities. It was adopted by the World Anti-Doping Agency. It increased sanctions, greater flexibility, so the accused could provide evidence, a clear listing and definitions of specified substances that are banned, incentives to come forward and report, financial penalties and periods of ineligibility, as well as a right to appeal. Drugs used by athletes. Athletes are less likely than non-athletes to use drugs of abuse, for example, marijuana, but they are much more likely to take drugs that enhance competitive performance. Major drugs abused by athletes include anabolic steroids, stimulants, miscellaneous ergogenic drugs, beta-androgenic blockers, and GHB. Anabolic steroids. They come in different forms such as natural and synthetic, and chemically they're similar to cholesterol and are related to testosterone. Therapeutically, they're used for anemia, breast cancer, and testosterone deficiency. Illegally used by athletes since the 1950s in order to improve athletic ability and physical appearance. Taken orally or injected into muscles. They are classified as a Schedule III drug since 1991. Major reasons for abuse of anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids increase muscle mass and strength. They help to improve performance, and they increase the muscle size or reduce body fat. Oftentimes, muscle dysmorphia occurs. This is a behavioral syndrome where an individual has a distorted image of their body. They're perceived as small and weak when they are not. Many who use it to boost muscle size have experienced some type of physical or sexual abuse sometime during their life. Among adolescents, it's part of a pattern of high-risk behaviors. So some of the other things that risk takers may engage in include drinking and driving, carrying a gun, riding a motorcycle without a helmet, and abusing other illicit drugs. Methods of use. Usually they are self-administered, 10 to 200 times greater than the doses for legitimate use. Stacking is when more than one steroid is used at the same time, and this is something that's very common. Cycling is the use of different steroids taken singly but in sequence. In order to avoid developing tolerance to a particular steroid, athletes often stagger the various drugs, sometimes taking them in overlapping patterns or alternatively. Pyramiding is moving from a low daily dose at the beginning of a cycle to a higher dose, then reduce use towards the end of the cycle. An array is taking other drugs, for example anti-acne drugs, concurrently to combat unwanted side effects. Testing. Urine testing just before the athletic event has become a commonplace. Athletes do try to fool these tests by only using during training but discontinue weeks before the event so the drug can disappear from their system. Oral drugs are typically cleared by the body faster, so they're stopped about 2 to 4 weeks before the actual event, while injectables are stopped about 3 to 6 weeks before the event. Taking other drugs that block excretion of steroids into the urine is also another way athletes try to fool tests, and using diuretics and lots of water to dilute so they cannot be detected. Adding adulterate chemicals is another method. They add these chemicals to their urine in order to invalidate tests. Doping has always stayed a step ahead. Trainers find something that is not on the list for their athletes to use, and then officials have to catch up and make a test for it. Effects of anabolic steroids. High doses during intense training can cause significant gains in lean body mass and strength while decreasing fat. Low to moderate doses generally have little effect on strength or athletic skills. Most effects are transient and will disappear when use stops. They're compelled to continue use, become psychologically hooked. Most likely benefit athletes in contact and strength sports because increased muscle mass is an advantage, for example in weightlifting and football. However, it's less likely to help in sports that require dexterity, for example tennis. You will never see a tennis player look like this dude in the picture. Higher doses and longer use lead to greater potential of damage, although the risks are still not completely understood. Adverse effects of heavy use are 10 to 30 times higher than the therapeutic doses. This leads to an increase in bad cholesterol, which will lead to heart attacks and stroke, liver disorders, psychological side effects, physiological side effects and physical dependence, altered reproductive systems and sex hormones, and typically these are gender-related characteristics. So for example, in women, you may have reduced breast size, an enlarged clitoris, increase in facial and body hair, so body hair in places you do not want body hair, a deepened voice, and may cause problems with their menstrual cycle. In men, you could develop an enlarged prostate, you have shrinkage of the testicles and the penis, which is never a good thing, high blood pressure, and one other thing that occurs is because they are, if it's in weightlifting for example, they will tear muscles and have injuries to tendons and ligaments. So there are also changes in their skin and hair. So again, acne and body hair in places they don't want body hair, a foul breath odor, and swelling in their feet and lower limbs. Sources of steroids. Approximately 50% are prescribed by a doctor. Black market sources include they are diverted from legal channels, smuggled from foreign countries for veterinarian use, secretly produced domestically. There are also inactive counterfeits that are sold in health stores and on the internet. These are referred to as sham steroids. Most steroids for non-medical purposes are obtained illegally. The majority of young people report that they are easily available through friends and coaches. Stimulant use among athletes. Amphetamines and cocaine are abused to improve skills. It's not clear if they actually enhance performance or just the athlete's perception of enhancing their performance. Amphetamines are used by athletes because they believe they promote quickness, enhance endurance, delay fatigue, increase self-confidence and aggression, and also mask pain. Studies have shown that they can be helpful for fatigue, but the risk that's associated is it can mask extreme fatigue. It can increase risk for heat exhaustion and severe cardiovascular consequences. Milder stimulants such as caffeine and over-the-counter decongestants will reduce fatigue and give a sense of energy and again mask pain. In high doses, especially if they're combined, can cause nervousness, tremors, restlessness, impair concentration, accelerate dehydration, and interfere with sleep. Some competitions limit permissible blood levels of caffeine and do not allow over-the-counter stimulants at all. Miscellaneous ergogenic drugs. The increase in improved testing has occurred, and this has led to individuals finding alternatives to steroids. Clenbuterol, which is something that helps to improve breathing and increase strength, and erythropoietin, which enhances oxygen use and produces additional energy. Human growth factor and human growth hormones will help to build muscle and decrease fat. Beta-androgenic blockers and GHB. Beta-androgenetic blockers affect the cardiovascular system. They are typically used to treat hypertension. They reduce heart rate and a sign of nervousness, and they help to quiet tremors. It's good for sports where you need steady hands, like competitive shooting. GHB will help to increase muscle mass and strength. It's reported to cause euphoria and the increased release of a growth hormone. Acute poisoning has occurred with full recovery, and withdrawals can occur with GHB use. Sports programs must be designed to discourage inappropriate drug use, assist athletes who have developed drug use problems. Coaches and administrators should make it clear that substance abuse will never give an athlete a competitive advantage and should not be tolerated. And this is the end of Chapter 16, Part 1.